Your life, your hopes, and whatever you were searching for at 1:15 a.m. It's really none of our business, and it shouldn't be anyone else's. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
CuriosityStream has thousands of documentary films and shows on demand on any device. We're the Netflix for nerds, the Hulu for history buffs, the Disney Plus for the scientist in us. Back to school means getting 25% off annual plans at CuriosityStream. That's a little over $1 a month for thousands of brain-boosting documentaries. Hurry, sale ends Monday.
We gotta sing it!
Gresh and Keefe starts right now.
Mac would beat out a lot of quarterbacks that are starting. I'd say he's in the top 10 if he continues.
On WEEI.
All right, welcome in. It's Brian Barrett and Fitzy with you on this Labor Day. Fitz, what's up, man?
What's up, Beach? You know, I've always thought you have the delicate and delightful, well-informed soul of a man much senior your age. But hearing that drop about you thinking that music is obnoxious, I'm going to start calling you Get Off My Lawn.
Well, he's like, I think I maybe went a little bit overboard with the comment, but I just don't like when I essentially am somewhere and I can hear music that is super loud. I can't take it. You know what I mean? Like when I have my headphones on and I'm at the gym and the music is too powerful and I'm hearing the music, I have an issue with that. But I do stand by my original comment. I don't choose to listen to music. When I'm in my car, I'm listening to sports talk radio. When I'm at the gym, I'm listening to a podcast. I never choose to actually listen to music.
Wait, you work out to podcasts?
Yes, I'll listen to the radio. I'll listen to a podcast. I don't need music. I don't listen to music when I work out.
7, 8. Oh, this true crime is so good. 9. One more. Come on.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know, man.
that's
I've never
amazing,
been
dude.
a huge music guy to begin with. I take it you're a huge music guy?
No, not necessarily, but, you know, I mean, is Labor Day, us doing sports radio 10A to 12P before the Red Sox, the time to admit that maybe sometimes I like to work out to movie soundtracks? Is this the time and place for that?
To movie soundtracks?
What are you working out to the Lion King?
That's amazing. Working out to the Lion King. Come on. No, maybe, you know, I like to get my John Williams on, pump it up a little bit to some inspiring movie soundtracks. I just can't get excited to people talking. I mean, listen, I crush nonstop fantasy football stuff, listen to EEI, do all sorts of like football and other podcasts, but like in terms of actually exercising to it, it's impossible. No, I need a little music to get into that zone.
Well, maybe you just got to be a little bit more motivated like me. All right, so we're with you until noon, and then Red Sox pregame comes your way. The number to join us if you want, 617-779-7937. And by the way, just off the top here, what are the realistic expectations you have for the Patriots? And just real quickly, because you heard off the top, oh, man, that game yesterday, Fitzy, that Red Sox game, Cora said he went for the jugular in the fifth inning. I was so pumped when they gave Devers the day off. Not that he got the day off, but when he came in to the on-deck circle in the fifth inning, I'm like, I'm going to need a cigarette after this thing because they were going at Plesac. They had him on the ropes, and Devers struck out. So I didn't have an issue with it whatsoever. I thought the Red Sox were going to win that game when they pinch hit Devers. I was so disappointed. Not mad at Devers that he didn't come through, but I felt like that was the moment for the Red Sox. And that was going to be a gravy win, right? You had already won the first two games of the series. You had this whole COVID situation where Pavetta's unable to go. So you bring up this kid, Cutter Crawford, from the AAA level. He was not effective whatsoever in the game, and you felt like, oh, my God, they're still going to get a sweep of the series. And then, unfortunately, Phillips Valdez was out there in the ninth inning. He just came completely undone. But I'll take 2 of 3 from Cleveland, and then you got Chris Sale on the mound today.
Yeah, have we made sure that Chris Sale has been kept as far away from basically everybody else on the team as possible?
I hope so.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 is huge. Getting 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4 as often as possible, and you can't just split with the Rays or let the Rays get the better of the upcoming series. Like the Red Sox, even though I know they have a 3-game lead in the wild card at this point, they absolutely need to get all of these. Like every day I wake up, and the second I refresh Twitter, the first thing I think I'm going to see is like X blank or this guy. I don't mean X is in, like Xander Bogaerts, but like it's just going to be a nonstop parade of people. Like, when did the Pavetta news come down? Was that Saturday night? Was that
No, literally
morning?
Sunday morning. So, Fitzy, here's the weird thing about this situation. And this is where, and I know people don't want to hear it, right? Because everybody just likes to complain and crap on the Red Sox for some inexplicable reason. I don't understand it. But for some reason, everybody's more harsh on them than any other team in town, and I stand by that. But anyway, just getting back to the original point. So, Pivetta gets symptoms on Sunday morning, right? So here's what the Red Sox did, and it was a very intelligent move by the organization. They said, okay, we're going to put a couple of our AAA pitchers essentially on ice. So they scratched Connor Seabold, who is the closest of their pitching prospects to the major league level right now in terms of a starter. So they scratched him from his start on Friday. Now, they had already sent back Nathan Eovaldi, Tanner Houck, and Pivetta from Tampa early to make sure that those guys are going to be ready and basically get them away from the rest of the team so they could start over the weekend. Okay, so flip forward to Friday. Nathan Eovaldi's fine. He makes his start. You go into Saturday, and Houck's healthy in the morning. I'm sure they checked up on him. So they said, okay, Seabold can make his start at the minor league level, right? Because they just figured, okay, we're out of the woods. Pavetta's going to be fine on Sunday. Now, Cutter Crawford was still available, but Seabold had pitched on Saturday. So instead of getting the guy you really would have liked to pitch if you had an ideal situation, you have to go with the other kid in Cutter Crawford that is not nearly the prospect that Connor Seabold is. So really, it was a bad luck situation in terms of which AAA guy you brought up, because ideally, they obviously wanted Seabold, who is the better pitcher. Oh, okay. We're going to be rejoined by Fitzy in just a minute. But that really was the situation that transpired yesterday, is the Red Sox got some bad luck as it pertains to the whole COVID situation. Because, look, this team is dealing with a whole lot of COVID issues right now, as we all know, with now 11 guys on the COVID list. And hopefully you're going to get Kike Hernandez back here in the short term. But the reality of the situation yesterday is that was a horrible break that the Red Sox caught. And I had no issue whatsoever with Alex Cora in that game in the ninth inning going to Phillips Valdez. You're down 6-5. Now, Valdez has been a complete mess. It's amazing to me that that guy once went 3 innings and struck out 7 guys against the Yankees, because since that point in time, he has a 9.88 ERA. But the other guy he could have gone to there is Garrett Whitlock. And the problem is, if you go to Garrett Whitlock there and you still lose the game, say hypothetically 6-5, you don't score in the ninth inning, then you have burnt Garrett Whitlock and maybe he's not available tomorrow. So it was the right move from Cora all around. I'm just frustrated on how they lost yesterday. I'm not mad at anybody in particular. It just sucks how they lost that game. All right, Fitzy's back with us. Fitz.
Yeah, sorry about that. My connection gets really upset every time we talk about heartbreaking losses with the Red Sox giving up, half a dozen in the final frame. And also, by the way, to your point on Valdez, wasn't Valdez the guy who had to spot start? Correct me if I'm wrong. I know I'm about double your age, but wasn't Valdez the guy who, I think it was a Friday night, maybe a month and a half ago, B squared, and Erod had a migraine before the game, so Valdez had to spot start and had the 4-inning, 7-strikeout performance of his life.
Yeah, well, so
you have already asked that pond to produce more fish for you. You have already gotten more sunshine out of that day where there was a 95% chance of thunderstorms. At this point now, it's got to have to be diminishing returns with so many of these guys, and that's the story of the 2021 Red Sox. How many of these guys have done things that you never could have expected them to do, or have performed in spot starts on occasion, emergency situations, COVID call-ups, beyond anything we could have ever asked them to do?
Yeah, and that's the problem that Alex Cora finds himself in right now because of the whole COVID situation, right? So, and he's alluded to the fact that they have to make sure when they pitch, and I know everyone's going nuts about this, but when they pitch Garrett Whitlock or when they pick Garrett Richards, they have to make sure it's in the most ideal situation. And I know Ottavino gave it up the other night, but Ottavino, right? Because right now on that bullpen, those are your 3 reliable guys. Now, Matt Barnes was not good before he got the COVID issue. Josh Taylor had been struggling a little bit, but Sal Moore is on the COVID list, so you don't have arms out in the bullpen. No. So for Cora in that 9th inning, yeah, ideally he would have liked to take the lead in the 5th when he pinch hit Rafael Devers, and then he can go to Garrett Whitlock and make sure he picks up the win. But the problem he runs into now is he cannot burn a good reliever in a game that he's losing 6-5 in the 9th inning because of the fact, well, if you burn him, he may not be available for the game today against the Rays. So that's where Cora's at right now. That's why this whole situation where we're looking at the guys that are missing, not having Taylor available, not having Sal Moore available, that kills this team right now because you don't have any reliable arms outside of those 3 guys, Richards, Whitlock, and Ottavino, and you got to be really careful about when you use them. So Cora is just really in a tough position right now in terms of when he chooses to use guys. But this is what I will say as it pertains to Cora, Fitzy. He has been at his best over the last 4 days or so when it looked like his team was in a real bad spot, and they are, in terms of the COVID situation. But remember, they lose that game, one of the most embarrassing games of the season, to the Rays the other night on, Tuesday night, and they come back the next day with Chris Sale on the mound. They win. They bunt a couple of times. They win the next game. when the chips are against Cora, he tends to perform at a high level as team, right? I mean, we think back to at the beginning of the season when it was, oh, nobody believes in us. Nobody thinks we're good. And that he could actually play that card. It was true. Nobody thought they were going to make a deep run into the postseason or win the division or anything like that. And then in the middle of the season, you're like, okay, well, now we know you're good. You have the best record in the American League, right? And then we got to the point where we are now, where he can legitimately play this card again, where everybody's doubting his team. And it seems like when his team is the favorite, that's what Alex Cora has struggled the most. Like, you go back to 19 after the World Series. He said, remember that whole thing? We're not going to turn the page. Like, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to be even better. And his team wasn't good. But now, when his team is in a situation where it's an adverse situation, if you will, his team's performing at a high level again. And I got to give the manager a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, well, back in 19, he made the mistake of not stretching his guys out, in spring training. So by the time the season came around, everybody looked a little out of shape and was kind of lethargic. And they played like a team that had a championship hangover. So, reciting what Cora had said about that team makes perfect sense. And not that the 2018 team performed above expectation or over their heads. I mean, they just went, as you like to say in horse racing, they went box to wire. That team was an absolute wagon. This team, 2021, way beyond expectations. I think that's why guys like myself and Lou Merloni and others at the station and, millions of Sox fans in the stands and on social media, Barrett, come mid to late July, we're banging the drum for reinforcements because, A, this is a team you should invest in because you never know when you're going to get a chance to be in this kind of race, and you're performing well above expectations, and B, I was a little bit nervous that some of these guys who were performing way better than you could have expected were going to get exhausted or were starting to show some signs of wear. I've pointed to this reference time and again on the station. Matt Barnes looked like somebody who was exhausted in the All-Star game. He needed 35, 36 pitches just to get out of one inning and almost blew the game for the American League. He himself was telling you, like, I'd be okay with them bringing in another closer to maybe pitch the ninth inning. Like, when your closer who's having an all-star season, who just got a 2-year contract extension, tells you, like, hey, guys, I think I'm going to have one of those Matt Barnes. I'm still Matt Barnes, by the way. I'm going to have one of those Matt Barnes spells or my arm is getting tired. That's a little bit of an issue. And to your point about Alex Cora right now, I think Alex Cora deserves to be in the discussion for AL Manager of the Year if he hasn't already locked it up. With the COVID issues, getting as much out of these guys as he has, the general demeanor of them, bringing them back to relevance and getting fans to be excited to be back at the ballpark all over again. Dude, he has been managing these last couple of weeks with the double-digit flare-ups and COVID cases we've had from Kike to X-Man, Pavetta, and beyond. He's managing on a unicycle while juggling a bunch of fish bowls. This is insane what he's doing right now. And I'm with you. They are a much better team when they are on their Twitter bio saying, hey, we remember your tweets from April. We're taking notes. That they need their attitude. They need their edge. They need that nobody believes in us attitude. And I think they've picked it back up again because every deck has been stacked against them over the last couple of weeks since we wrote them off in the middle of August.
All right, it's Brian Barrett and Fitzy with you. So if you want to weigh in on the Red Sox, you certainly can. Are you believing in this team again? 617-779-7937. And, of course, the Patriots on the table as well. What are the realistic expectations we should have for this team? Just one final thought on the Sox, Fitzy, in terms of, I know the trading deadline, as you alluded to, that was the big topic for about 4 weeks here. The one thing I will say is I do believe that, and at the deadline, I wanted a premier reliever. They didn't do that. I didn't think they'd get Kimbrel, but I would have liked a guy like Daniel Hudson. But anyway, just getting back to the original point, I think if the Red Sox get into the postseason, they can do enough in terms of the bullpen because now you have Richards, now you have Whitlock, and we're going to see something that they did in 18. Tanner Houck's going to be out of the bullpen. I mean, if you don't believe Tanner Houck's coming out of the bullpen in the postseason, you're crazy because we just saw his start the other day on Saturday where he threw 68 pitches. He cannot go through a lineup a third time right now. Opponent's hitting over 400 with an opponent's OPS over 1,400. But you know what he can do?
Ooh,
he can.
That's awful.
It's horrible. It's He can't do it. He needs to develop that splitter more if he wants to be a starter long term. But you know what he can be in the postseason? A weapon. You know what we've seen Alex Cora do before is utilize his starters in that rover role out of the bullpen. Think about Evaldi in 18. Think about David Price in 18. And I truly believe that he can do that once you get there. The problem is now with this COVID situation is getting there. The good thing for the Red Sox is the A's suck right now. So in terms of getting that wild card spot. Yeah, and you know who else sucks right now? The Yankees. And they just lost their best reliever, Jonathan Loaizaga, to a rotator cuff issue. So the Red Sox are in, considering the COVID situation, they're in a better place than we all thought. But Fitzy, we got to get to, go ahead.
But I just want to mention one last thing, too, about your point about so your three-man rotation, you're basically saying, should the Red Sox be able to advance? And it looks like it's going to be a Red Sox-Yankees, and it's a 3-game series this year. Is it a 1-game wild card play-in game against the Yankees, or would that be a 3?
No, that'd be a 1, which, look, that's going to be the highest-rated wild card game in the history of Major League Baseball.
Just let me prep everybody right now who happens to be listening, who's icing their beers for a Labor Day cookout. Happy Labor Day to one and all. It's truly one of the great days of the year. Some kids are already back in school. They get the day off. Some kids are dreading going back to school this week. Whatever. I'm talking to one of my buddies at the station. Then I'm going to enjoy a fantasy draft and a cookout. Life is very good. So think about, that game is going to come just a couple of days after Tom Brady's return. Mac Jones versus Tom Brady on that Sunday night. We're going to need that entire Monday to emotionally recover, clean up, and and process and digest. And then you could very well have a 1-game veritable callback to the Bucky Dent era of single elimination against the Yankees. Dude, that is why we sports radio. That is why we sports fan. That is exactly what we live for. And the Red Sox are the guys, like you said, with the weapons out of the bullpen. Way back when, John Wetland was the original closer for the New York Yankees the first time they won the World Series when they started that late 90s run with the Stick Michael team and Buck Showalter's guys that Joe Torre was managing. Mariano Rivera was the setup guy, and he was so young and that arm was so live, they could go to him for multiple innings, and nobody could touch him. Nobody could touch him at all. So if the Red Sox, now that the Yankees are down some arms, can survive this, get through the COVID turmoil, and actually stock up their pen, I think it's advantage Sox when they go into that game against the Yankees because the Red Sox will have the better depth in the bullpen, and who knows, man, everyone pitch an inning, who cares? It's a brand new ball game. Now I'm getting fired up for the Red Sox again after I wrote them off 2 weeks ago. Can they please just let us know, should we buy in or should we walk away? I'm buying in again, Barrett.
I'm telling you, buy in. Okay, so if you jumped off board, try to get back on board because you should be on board. This team is going to get into the postseason, and I truly believe they'll beat the Yankees. For some reason now, he's had his good games against the Red Sox, but the Red Sox at times have really gotten to Garrett Cole where they've beat him up a couple of times. And if he's pitching at Fenway, they are going to be all over him. So that's the big thing. Get this game at home. Get this game at Fenway. Not that I don't think they can beat the Yankees at Yankee Stadium, but get this damn game at Fenway Park. But I do want to get to the Patriots, Fitzy, because, man, now we're sort of past the whole Cam versus Mac thing because Cam, of course, no longer part of the equation. But I feel like we're now almost a week removed from Cam Newton being cut, and now we're getting ready for week 1 of the regular season. Yep. And you have Mac against his former teammate, Tua, at Alabama, the guy that Mac eventually took his job when Tua got hurt. Not that Tua lost his job. He got injured. He was out for the season, had the serious hip thing. And when I think about this, like we talk about the pressure that Mac Jones is facing as he becomes the new quarterback of the New England Patriots, but I look at just this 1 week. The guy on the other side of the field entering this game has way more pressure on him than Mac does. Mac's making his rookie debut. Tua is the guy that was drafted ahead of Justin Herbert. Tua is the guy that was playing in front of Mac Jones. If Mac Jones goes out there on Sunday and plays way better than Tua, that's going to be a really bad look for the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, who, by the way, did you hear what he said about last year? He didn't really know the playbook. Why would you reveal that? I don't understand why you would ever mention that.
I see. There's so many. First of all, that points out to you right there. If you go back into the archives and you get the bites from Miami's new number 2 receiver, Jalen Waddle, one of the favorite targets pre-ankle injury of Mac Jones at Alabama. You talk to the Slim Reaper, Devonta Smith, who's in Philadelphia now. Those guys, they said their favorite quarterback, the guy they wanted to ride or die with and catch passes from, is the guy who's the new QB1 of the New England Patriots. Now you understand why. Mac Jones always demanded and expected better. He's a secret psycho. He's hyper competitive. That's the one way I want people to ever look at him in comparison to Tom Brady, and then I want all those comparisons to stop because I want people to just let Mac Jones be Mac Jones and not be, oh, he reminds me of Brady. He's the new Brady. We got Tom Brady the sequel here. No, we have Mac Jones, and he too has a dad bod, and yes, people didn't believe in him, but he's a first-round prospect for a reason, Barrett. And what's amazing to me is that Tua last year admits to not being ready, gets thrown to the wolves, when the Miami players themselves last year will tell you that they loved Fitzpatrick, they thought they were making progress, and they were going to have one of those Alex Smith for the whole year, and then maybe we'll give remember Mahomes got a start in a throwaway game before the playoffs a couple years ago just so he could get his feet wet for the next season.
Yeah.
That's what they should have done last year. I'll never understand why Brian Flores took the risk of rattling the confidence of Tua Tagovailoa last year that way, throwing him in for a couple games, then going back to Fitzpatrick, and then missing the playoffs. It was very strange from a coach who has seemed incredibly competitive and highly competent over the first couple of years since he took over in Miami. Though it is also weird, too, B squared, that he's now on his third offensive coordinator in 3 years. Like, all right, just, pick a system and roll with it. But who the pressure is on, to your point, it's absolutely all over the slender shoulders of Tua next weekend. To me, if Mac Jones goes out there, just gets completely obliterated by, Flores' version of a Belichick defense with one guy at the line and the amoeba fronts and the cocktail party line, and he can't decipher things, that's on McDaniels and that's on Mac. But you know what? Nobody expected that much in the first place. If he goes out there Sunday and kicks ass and Tua looks meh at best, even against this depleted Patriots secondary, oh, baby, that would be incredible.
Not
Pressure's
for nothing,
totally on
too,
Tua.
by the way. That offense that Miami was running last year was specifically designed for Fitzpatrick. So Tua was coming into an offense that he didn't understand the concepts. He had never seen a lot of the stuff that Chan Gailey liked to run because it's freaking ancient. And now Charles Gottes's actually making an offense designed around what Tua does really, really well.
Yeah, and it could look a little bit more Patriots-like, right, because of the connection with the Patriots back in the day with Gottesy. But
a lot of play-action reads coming your way.
And so therefore, why did they fire the guy in who did they have first? They had the first guy they brought over in 2019 was a Patriots coordinator too, Scheim. Then they got rid of him for Chan
Chad
Gailey.
O'Shea?
Chad O'Shea, thank you. Yeah, it makes you wonder, like, should they just go back to the O'Shea? No, they're moving on.
Well, what's up with Flores, man? He's on his third offensive coordinator in his third year.
We're not making a
Look,
big
he's
enough
a good
deal about
coach,
this.
but geez, I mean, come on. And the other thing about Miami, if you look at this team, right? So last year they had the most man played against them because they didn't have weapons whatsoever. Now, they did upgrade in the offseason, right? Think about that. That was one of their things. They drafted Jalen Waddle high, and they brought over Will Fuller, although Will Fuller's still suspended because I don't know if he's roided up, whatever it was, PED thing, right?
It was a suspension from last year, but it carried over to this year. And you, as a New England Patriots fan out there, should be thrilled and above and beyond psyched because with a depleted Patriots secondary, the last thing you wanted to do is have Parker and Waddle and Will Fuller, three downfield threats against, one legitimate cornerback, 1/2, and then a bunch of other guys we're praying are going to perform above their heads.
Yeah, and they got Gesicki in there as well. So the weaponry is better than it was a season ago for Tua. And as Scheim points out, the system is going to be better for Tua. But here's the other thing that you look at this Miami team where the Patriots may have an advantage on Sunday, especially considering what they did in the offseason in terms of upgrading the defense, bringing back Van Noy and Matthew Judon, a lot of high expectations for him. But if you look at this Dolphins offensive line, they can't draft offensive linemen and they can't fix it. I mean, and I know hopefully Andy Hart's not listening because he's going to be really upset about this, but Pro Football Focus ranks their line 29th in the NFL entering the season, right? It's a complete joke. I mean, Austin Jackson has not been good for them. Maybe he'll be better in year
COVID list, by the way.
Oh, he's on the COVID list.
He just got placed on the COVID list.
So he's on the COVID list, but this team, from an offensive line standpoint, was bad last year. It doesn't look much better, and they couldn't run the ball last year, partly because the offensive line is not good. I mean, they averaged 3.9 yards per carry last year, Fitzy.
And I also don't love their running backs, by the way. For what it's worth, I'm sure they're
sleeping on Myles Gaskin, baby.
Yeah, he's good, Scheim. Like he's speedy, but like he's not very big. He probably plays well in the complement of being a change of pace back, and he's good with the ball in his hands in space. But in terms of like, I guess they have a decent sized running back in Malcolm Brown, but I don't love it. You don't have guys that are going to be able to like truly create plays against an offensive line, like you said, Barrett. It is 29th. And by the way, where do the Patriots rank? Where did Poof, if you will?
They had the Patriots entering the season at number 3.
See, they should be. Even down one offensive line coach, this is a top 5 offensive line.
Well,
and again, that's another advantage Patriots heading into Sunday.
Well, and that's my whole thing is, right, so Tua's not going to have the ideal protection. Now, his weapons are going to be better than they were a year ago, but this should be a game, especially considering it's week 1 of the season, where Belichick should be able to scheme it up to be able to get a great pass rush on Tua and company, and this should be a really tough afternoon for Tua from a defensive perspective. The only concern is, well, you'd like to have that Gilmore guy out there playing defensive back for you, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, except against Devontae Parker. But
you need to be very careful with Jalen Waddle this week because he is, even if J.C. Jackson's on him, he is in a spot where he could make you pay big time if Tua can get the ball out quick.
I wouldn't be surprised, Scheim, if you see the fastest cornerback in the Patriots secondary is Jonathan Jones. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to, if they do speed versus speed. And J.C. Jackson is not as big as Stephon Gilmore. Doesn't play quite as aggressively at the line of scrimmage. Steph is sneaky good on the press. I think you'll see J.C. Jackson on Devontae Parker. I'm more concerned about Mike Gesicki, who is a Patriots killer, and B, is sneaky athletic. You may have to ask a Joejuan Williams type, or maybe even a Jalen Mills, to deal with someone who's not as fast but is athletic, because Mills on the outside and stretch down the field, bad look. Mills up front on the line or in the slot, much better.
All right, so a lot more to get into. If you want to weigh in on the Red Sox, you can. I want to give you my 3 biggest concerns about the Patriots entering the season. Fitz, you can tell me if I'm crazy for these concerns. We'll get into it in just a little bit. The number is 617-779-7937. Brian Barrett and Fitzy with you up until noon before Red Sox pregame here on WEI.
For nearly 30 years, the home of the Boston sports fan. Now here's what's trending on WEEI.
Here's what's trending now on WEEI and WEEI.com. Trending now, brought to you by McDonald's. There's a deal for every moment at McDonald's. Right now, enjoy 6-piece Chicken McNuggets or a double cheeseburger for $2 each. Add a soft drink for $1 more. Price and participation may vary. The Red Sox tried to battle back from a 6-run deficit against the Indians, only to score 5 runs and then allow 5 more in the 9th and lose 11-5. They start up a series with the Rays today. First pitch 1:10, pregame 12:10. You can catch all the action right here on the Shawson Star Market Red Sox Radio Network. And if you're just about anywhere in New England except Fairfield County, Connecticut, holy smokes, you can listen to every Red Sox game the rest of the season on the Odyssey app. Make sure to download the Odyssey app today. Football is back, baby. After an awesome slate of college football this weekend, we get NFL action starting up Thursday night with the Bucs and the Cowboys. Then your Patriots will take the field for their opening day game against the Miami Dolphins. The New England Revolution got right back to winning as they beat the Union Friday night 1-0. They hit the pitch again Saturday at 7 as New York City FC comes to Gillette. And the U.S. men's national team could not hold on to their 1-0 lead, finished with a draw against Canada 1-1 in their latest World Cup qualifying match. They'll take on Honduras Wednesday night at 10. Trending now, also brought to you by Profile by Sanford. Profile by Sanford is transforming thousands of lives a day with one-on-one weight loss coaching and customized nutrition plans. Although many celebrities are now part of the Profile family, you don't have to be famous to join. Visit profileplan.com today to get your 4 weeks of coaching for only $49. I'm Krishan. That's what's trending now on WEEI and WEEI.com.
Curiosity Stream has thousands of documentary films and shows on demand on any device. We're the Netflix for nerds, the Hulu for history buffs, the Disney Plus for the scientist in us. Back to school means getting 25% off annual plans at Curiosity Stream. That's a little over $1 a month for thousands of brain-boosting documentaries. Hurry, sale ends Monday.
We got a singer!
Your life, your hopes, and whatever you were searching for at 1:15 a.m. It's really none of our business, and it shouldn't be anyone else's. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
Bring the fun home with Billiard Factory in Spring. Join us for the grand opening of the Spring Showroom starting September 3rd. We've got everything you need for big family fun. Pool, table tennis, darts, foosball, and more. We'll keep your entire family entertained. The fun starts at Billiard Factory in Spring with up to 20% off with no interest extended financing for a limited time. We're located at 7210 North Grand Parkway West in Spring. Find your fun at Billiard Factory's Spring Grand Opening now through September 12th.
Attention all Class A CDL drivers. CPC Logistics is currently hiring Class A CDL drivers in your area for Touch Freight store deliveries.
$8,000 sign-on bonus. Benefits from day one. Flexible schedule, AM or PM. Home every day. Drivers average $1,600 to $2,000 a week.
Visit CPC Logistics and apply today. CPC Logistics, putting you in the driver's seat to your new career. CPC Logistics is an equal opportunity employer. Must have a valid and current Class A CDL with 1 year driver experience or 6 months experience from an accredited driving school and be at least 21 years of age.
Or Gresh and Keith right now on WEEI.
All right, welcome back in. Brian Barrett and Fitzy in for Gresh and Keith this afternoon, I should say this morning. It's only 10:30. I don't know what I'm talking about this afternoon, but a lot more to get into, including what are your realistic expectations for the Patriots, and the Red Sox always on the table as well. Are you buying back into this team? Because if you're not, you're a complete idiot. 617-779-7937. The number. I'm
Tell us
telling
how you really feel, Guy. I love it.
If you don't want to buy back in, don't be cheering for this team in the postseason. That's all I'm telling you. I don't want to do that whatsoever. But Fitzy, before I give you my concerns here, so I do have one in-game concern about Miami. So last year, they blitzed on 41% of dropbacks. Only the Ravens blitzed more, right? And look, they weren't great in terms of getting after the quarterback. They were 11th in sacks and just 17th in hurries. But this is what concerns me about this game in particular. We know how smart Brian Flores is as a defensive coordinator. I mean, the defense they had the last time they won the Super Bowl, the Patriots, was absolutely outstanding because Flores was a better defensive coordinator than Matt Patricia. But anyway, getting back to this game, this is going to be something that Mac Jones has never seen, right? Going back to his days at the collegiate level. He's never going to see a scheme like this. Now, Miami blitzes so much because they don't have that great pass rusher, so to speak, right? But this scheme does kind of concern me for Mac making his debut.
Yeah, okay, so gone are the days of, Cameron Wake or Jason Taylor coming around the edge and living in Tom Brady's nightmares and giving the likes of like Matt Light and Solder fits all game long. That Miami defense is in your rear view. And I think one of the reasons why they blitzed so much last year, there are two reasons. A, Brian Flores loves to blitz. I mean, think of the way that he unleashed Van Noy and Hightower all over Jared Goff, who was woefully unprepared and just pretty terrible back in Super Bowl 53. They don't have a good rush defense. They do not have a good running defense, even though we got the centerpiece of their rushing defense now as one of the anchors on the newly reconfigured Patriots defensive line in Davin Godchaux. That was not a very good rush defense last year. Patriots didn't have a good rush defense. Miami's was pretty terrible as well. So you have to think, well, that's what the Patriots will probably attack them with because this is going to be a run-centric team first. But I have my designs and ideas set otherwise. And as far as Mac Jones goes, this is where this game becomes not just any ordinary kickoff game, Barrett. This is not any ordinary rematch of the previous year's kickoff game, and that one in and of itself was eminently fascinating last year. No fans, Cam Newton making his debut. They had no idea what to expect last year. They don't know what to expect this year. And who better to have your rookie quarterback prepared to face the multiple fronts and the unpredictable defensive looks that you probably never saw even when you played in the NFL of college football, the SEC at Alabama, than Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick, who kind of helped teach Brian Flores most of what he knows in the first place.
Yeah, I think it could be kind of ugly, Fitzy. You know what I mean? Like a 20-17 type of game where it's an ugly defensive struggle, so to speak, considering you have two young quarterbacks and two obviously good defensive minds. You mentioned the running game for the Patriots. So let me get to my three concerns with this team and tell me if they're valid or invalid. So my first
Talk
one,
to me, Goose.
Now this isn't my most important one, but I know the Patriots have a deep running back stable, if you will, but they trade away Sony Michel. And look, I'm not the biggest Sony Michel guy, but I just look at it from this perspective. The running backs, obviously this offense is geared to run the ball a ton. Well, Damian Harris is supposed to be the bell cow running back, right? Now, he's really good when he's on the field. 69 yards a game last year, 5 yards a pop. But here's my concern as it pertains to Harris. Is he going to be on the field? He only played in 10 games. He started the season on IR. He ended the season on IR. So that's my concern. So they must have a lot of faith in Stevenson behind him and the J.J. Taylors of the world. James White's kind of in his own category. But that does concern me a little bit, the health of Damian Harris, because so far as an NFL player, he's great when he's on the field. Or I should say he's really good when he's on the field, but he hasn't proven he can stay healthy.
That's a legitimate concern. There's a reason why neither of us work in the front office of an NFL team, although we can be hypercritical of them and every little move that they make. I would not have dealt Sony Michel. I know Bill wanted to get a little something for him. He thought he was expendable after they acquired Stevenson, and that kid lost some weight and turned into an absolute hoss. He led the NFL both in rushing touchdowns and yardage this season, and J.J. Taylor was like right behind him in terms of yards per carry and efficiency as well, toting the rock. I thought they were just going to take Sony Michel and they were going to try to extend the life of Damian Harris this year as the bell cow, as the lead back, by doing 2 series for Harris, 1 series for Michel. You would prolong the life of both, and you'd have a pretty awesome 1-2 punch. Now, I know it wouldn't be as devastating as the 1-2 punch of like Chubb and Hunt, and no way would Sony Michel have been like Kareem Hunt in that he's a little quicker, a little fleeter of foot, and he's amazing catching the ball out of the backfield. But you would have probably taken a little bit of the wear and tear off of Harris. This must mean they are supremely confident in Stevenson. Right. Either that or straight up like Belichick was just pissed and had enough after Sony was mad and kind of pouted by skipping OTAs that he didn't get his fifth-year option picked up. So he's like, all right, I got Stevenson. This guy's going to give me 90% of what I thought I would have gotten, maybe even more than Sony, and I can get some draft picks from the Rams. I'm in. Sold. Goodbye. Have fun out in L.A.
And by the way, Damian Harris joined Gresh and Keefe last week, and he talked about trying to stay healthy.
I just try to get in the best shape possible. I think it starts with that, getting my body ready to do what, is going to be asked of me for the next couple months. And just preparing my body and trying to make sure I stay healthy and stay on the field.
All right, we'll see. I mean,
great radio voice, by the way, and an excellent interview. I thought that
unbelievable
was
pipes on that guy.
No, seriously, if he runs half as good as he gives sound bites and does those interviews, like with that kind of voice, man, watch out. RB1 in the house.
Yeah, so I certainly like the attitude that he puts out there. I'm just one of the people that say, I'll believe it when I see it, that he makes it the full, I guess now, 17 games, right? Because
right, he only had 137 carries last year. Now, to your point about starting the season on IR, okay, 2019 was basically a stash away, redshirt kind of quintessentially Belichick year for him. Being hurt at the start of the year, didn't love that. At the end of the year, I guarantee you, if the Patriots really had a legitimate path to the postseason, because we used to joke like, oh, the path still has room, oh, the path is narrowing. Belichick knew that was not a postseason team. I think when he knew it was time, he put him on IR and said, I'm going to shelve you for next season because that's when I'm really going to need you.
I totally forgot about the path stuff.
Remember the path? That's the only hope we had. That was like during the socially distanced holidays, we're like, I got to be, Thanksgiving's at home. I can't see anyone for Christmas. This sucks. Hey, at least I still have, quote, the path. And remember, we were so jacked up about the path after they beat the Chargers, and we're like, they can do it, they're going to go. And then they just got, suffocated by the Rams that Thursday night.
All right. All right, so I get a couple more concerns. We'll get into those in just a little bit. I got two more, and I know, Fitzy, you got a couple as well. Let's get to Joe. He's in Millis. Joe, what's up?
Big Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hi, Brian. Hi, Fitz. How you doing?
Good.
Sadly, Cam Newton was never a good fit for the Pats. I don't even think that they would have drafted him had they had the chance. He just wasn't a good fit for their style of play. But Matt Jones's role is very similar to Brady's role back in 2001. Just go out there, be another spoke in the wheel, don't make any mistakes, and just do your job. And they're not going to ask great things of him now that they got a running game, but they're going to have the ability to hold those defenses a little more honest because Matt Jones got to work on his double pumps and his fakes and to hold the defense still. And I think they can have some success.
I'm with you that I think they could have some success. And, Joe, I appreciate the phone call. His line's open if you want to grab it at 617-779-7937. But I think it's unfair to say that they're looking for what they got from Tom Brady as a rookie. I don't believe this team is good enough to have that. This isn't the 2012 Seahawks where that team was absolutely loaded and Russell Wilson threw for $190 a game. And I know he ran for 30 additional yards as well. But that defense was 1 and 2 in the league in most statistical categories with the Niners that year. And I'm talking about Wilson's rookie year. This Patriots defense, it looks good on paper. But remember, they're missing their number one cornerback. And from the other side of the ball, I told you I have some concerns with the running game. So I don't think he can just be one of these guys where it's, he's just got to make sure he doesn't turn the ball over, protect the ball. They're going to need Mac Jones to win some games.
Yeah, they will. But, this is exactly why we sports radio, Barrett. But if you look at the 2001 Patriots versus the 2021 Patriots, if we play the, on paper or, who the hell uses paper anymore, except for at the radio station. But, if you look at these two teams, the 2001 Patriots offense, much love and RIP to the great David Patton, Troy Brown. They had Antoine Smith, J.R. Redmond, Rod Rutledge, a great blocking tight end out of Alabama. But, we're not talking about exactly offensive dynamos. There is the potential for some explosiveness, which is necessary in the 2021 game. Now, that defense was ridiculous. The Patriots' 2001 defense was wildly underrated, I think, even though they basically carried them all the way to a Super Bowl championship before, the great Brady drive and Vinatieri's 48-yarder for the win. So to ask for 2001 Brady or Brady-adjacent play would be ideal for Mac Jones, and then to step it up and help them win a couple games.
I don't think you can do that 20 years later. It's a different league.
It's a different league. No, it is. But I'm saying the talent level on this team is commensurate to, if not perhaps superior to that team from 20 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think about those guys with the Willie McGinnises of the world, the Brewskis of the world, the Ty Laws of the world. I feel like that team By the end of the season, that defense was absolutely filthy. And what they did to the Rams was absolutely filthy. Again, different rules and all that different type of stuff. This defense on paper looks really good, but we still haven't seen it come to fruition yet. And you're still without your number one cornerback for the first, 6 games of the season.
And that has to be, to me, that's primary concern number one. Gilmore not being there for 6 games, and you have to face Miami. You have to face Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Arsenal. And then I hate to say it, they got the Cowboys at the wrong time, because if Dakota Prescott is reasonably healthy and they can keep Ezekiel Elliott and that wide receiver armada healthy, they're going to come into Foxborough and give the Patriots fits.
Don't forget LASIK Jameis.
And LASIK Jameis. Eat that W. And, of course, the sleeper of all the fantasy drafts, was it Callaway?
Marquez Callaway, yeah.
Marquez Callaway. Ooh, man, that guy looked good. Granted, the chances are also, Barrett, you could probably burn the Jacksonville defense deep twice in the first half, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's a tough look, but I'm not worried about the Cowboys because Mike McCarthy's the coach, and he's showing guys on Hard Knocks. What was it? The clip from Austin Powers. And nobody knows that reference that's on the team. Like, nobody watched Austin Powers.
He's so bad. He is, talk about the in spite of. If Bill Belichick was the coach, again, more sports radio here, but if Bill Belichick was the coach of Aaron Rodgers in the 2010s, that team would have won 5 Super Bowls.
I don't know. I think Bill would have been he had issues with Brady at the end. Imagine him with that guy. Rodgers a complete diva. All right, a lot more to get into. The number is 617-779-7937 if you want to join us. We'll get into some more concerns we have with the Patriots and what are your realistic expectations with this team entering the 2021 season. You're listening to Brian Barrett and Fitzy right here on WEI.
CuriosityStream has thousands of documentary films and shows on demand on any device. We're the Netflix for nerds, the Hulu for history buffs, the Disney Plus for the scientist in us. Back to school means getting 25% off annual plans at CuriosityStream. That's a little over $1 a month for thousands of brain-boosting documentaries. Hurry, sale ends Monday.
We got a singer!
Your life, your hopes, and whatever you were searching for at 1:15 a.m. It's really none of our business, and it shouldn't be anyone else's. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
You can help save people's lives by simply donating plasma at KED Plasma. New donors earn $100 on each donation this month in the first 8 donations. You can redeem additional prizes like t-shirts and gift cards to the KED Rewards program. It's safe, easy, and you can help people in need. Be ready to donate. Bring in your original Social Security number, valid state ID, and proof of address. To find a location near you, call 855-KED-PLASMA or visit KEDPlasmausa.com. For new donors, mention you heard this commercial and receive an additional $5 bonus. KED Plasma.
Whoa, baby! Have you heard the word on the big Everyday is Baby Day sale at your local Jewel Osco? It's a great way to save a bundle on baby items with one quick trip to any convenient location. Just spend $25 on participating items like diapers, formula, and food, and you'll get a $5 coupon good towards your next purchase at Jewel Osco. So stop by soon and save big on all your favorite baby items, including Pampers, Pediasure, and more. It's all fresh to your family from Jewel Osco.
Back to Gresh and Keefe on WEEI.
All right, welcome back in. Brian Barrett and Fitzy in for the guys. I'm fired up. It's a sale day in about, 2 hours from now, and it's the first week of the NFL season coming up. So I'm pretty fired up right now. We're talking about some of the concerns we have with the Patriots. What are your expectations for this team? 617-779-7937 is the number. So, Fitzy, we'll get into the Gilmore thing because obviously for you and I, that's the number one concern is Stephon Gilmore not being on the field for the first 6 weeks of the season. So I'll get into one of my other concerns here is they need somebody to emerge as the legitimate bona fide number one option on this team because when I look at the great offenses in the league right now, Fitzy, you think about Kansas City, you got a game plan for Tyreek Hill and you got a game plan for Kelsey. You look at the Buccaneers, you got a game plan for Evans and Godwin, etc. You get the point. And with the Bills, it's Stephon Diggs, right?
You can go to any team in the league, Barrett, and I can tell you honestly who the number one, if not the number 2 threat, like straight up and down. And some of the teams you're going to play this year have 1s and 2s that you're worried about. That goes back to the Gilmore thing, but the Patriots, they do not.
Right, and I would argue even if you go back to the 2018 season where the Patriots became run-heavy in that postseason run, Rob Gronkowski was still getting respect for most of the season, right? Edelman was the guy that had all the yards in the postseason, but teams were still game planning. Even though Gronk was older, they were game planning for Gronk. So my question is, Are they going to have that legitimate option? Now, the guy that I would point to that's going to have to be the pop guy, if you will, is Jonnu Smith, right? Because you look at it, you say, okay, more opportunities with the Patriots. He's a phenomenal athlete, and some of the numbers may indicate that he could be better here than he was in Tennessee. I mean, you look at last year, you realize he was only 25th among tight ends in routes run. Think about that. And you're asking this guy that was 25th among tight ends in routes run last year to be your number one guy. Now, I do feel like if you look at some the advanced stuff, like in 19, he was 4th among non-running backs and 2nd among tight ends in yak yards per reception. So after the catch, 7.8 yards per reception back in 19. Only Noah Fant from a tight end position was better. A.J. Brown and Deebo Samuel are the receivers, but 4th among non-tight ends. So it looks like on paper maybe he can do it, but the problem is we've never seen him as more than a number 2 or a number 3 option in his career. So can he develop into that guy? Because I don't trust Hunter Henry to stay available. We know what Aguilar is. He's more of a down the field type of guy. And I like Jacoby Myers as a player, but he's never going to be a number 1 option.
No, I mean, but he's great at getting open, and he's got sure hands. Asking Jacoby Myers to be a number 1 is stretching him out to a degree that I think he'll get exposed, or suddenly now he'll start getting locked up. And even week 1, you're facing 2 excellent corners in Byron Jones and Xavier Howard. So you're going to need some of these guys that can create mismatches. And that's why, like, Hunter Henry was paid because Belichick wanted what he thought would be a mostly dependable tight end, though he's never played a complete NFL 16-game season. And now they're trying to play 17. So you can't expect him to be on the field for all 17 games this season. Hell, he was already on the shelf in the preseason. They paid Jonnu Smith on the potential of what they think they're going to get, being able to weaponize him and stretch him out in ways out of the backfield, in the slot, splitting him out wide, lined up in the traditional tight end formation with the 2 tight end formation, Boston TE Party 2.0. Jonnu Smith is a yak monster, and he's an athletic freak. He himself told you no one else that'll have come through Gillette Stadium will have worked out harder or will have given more. So that's what the Patriots paid him for. He has to become one of the focal points of this offense, Barrett, because the guy can do so much, and maybe that's it. Maybe Belichick saw, this guy's a freak, but they give it to Derrick Henry so much, and A.J. Brown develops, and they had Corey Davis, and they looked a million other ways in Tennessee. Now, this guy, as a true number 1 target, can turn into a focal point for the offense, and around that, maybe you can develop the running game, and maybe some other wide receivers will pop. Who that's going to be, I have no idea, but you need Jonnu Smith something wicked to explode this year.
Yeah, well, and Bill did say that he thinks he's the best tight end after the catch when they signed him. He said that. He legitimately, that's a quote from Bill Belichick, and you look at it too. I mean, he was dependable in Tennessee. It's just he didn't have a ton of opportunities. 120 quarterback rating and 19 when targeted, 110 quarterback rating and 21 targeted. So he's been dependable. It's just my concern and my question is he's never done it before, right? So I can look at these numbers and say, hey, if I project this out to him being the number 1 target and getting more opportunities, he can go out there and do it, but we have to actually see him do it. 617-779-7937, the number. Let's get to Steve. He's in Fall River. Steve, what's up, man?
Wow, it's completely amazing. I'm going to go by what I've been hearing the pundits say. I heard a guy yesterday say, given the offense and this team and all the money they spent to a rookie quarterback is like giving him a brand new Mercedes-Benz to a 16-year-old driver that just got his license. And that's probably a decent analogy. Then you find out the second most important player on the team isn't available till week 6 and may never be available. If his contract, we don't know what's going to happen there. So the top 2 players on the team have question marks. Now you're telling me, did I hear right? They paid Jonnu Smith for his potential? You must have said that wrong, Fitzy.
Steve, I didn't. Because
do you think they paid him to put the numbers up he put up in Tennessee? You wouldn't pay a tight end that much money.
First of all, they panicked, okay, because they stunk last year. And guess what? Will everybody stop with the 2001 analogies? Because they're all wrong. This defense was outstanding. They stepped it up after Bledsoe went down. Tom Curran writes an article that it's analogous to Mac Jones and Tom Brady in 2001. It was the exact opposite. Mac Jones is expanding the playbook by all accounts. Is that what we heard? Am I right about that?
That he's consuming the play. They obviously can run a more diverse and expanded playbook than with Cam
Does
Newton.
anybody remember 2001? They
I went to every game. I watched every game.
Okay,
All right, Steve.
so
All right, Steve. Thank you. All right, Steve. Appreciate the call. Thanks very much. To borrow from Brian Barrett, his line is open. Thank God at 617-779-7937. I mean, listen, I know we're trying out a lot of different personalities here at the station, Steve, but whenever you call, engage in a conversation. Don't give us a monologue or act like you're doing an overnight show on nationally syndicated sports radio. And yes, I'm old enough to remember every game. I went to most every game that season. And the comparisons, first of all, we make comparisons because they comfort us, because we're calling back to things that were relevant or dynamic or memorable in our lives. And number two, it is okay. Like that defense stepped it up. Yes, okay, I remember the defense. Tabucky Jones, Bill Belichick got the most out of him after he was floundering under Pete Carroll. Otis My Man Smith still somehow found a way to play and was an awesome third and fourth cornerback. Ty Law was dynamite. Yes, everybody. Lawyer Malloy. There's a lot of explosive playmakers on this defense too. And we've just added Matt Judon, and Hightower took a year off, and Van Noy is motivated. So, yeah, the comparisons to the 2001 team, at least on the defensive side, before we even come close to comparing McCorkle to the GOAT, Steve, 2007, to get the Miami numbers out of him, no. It was on potential, and guess what? Belichick was right, you dummy.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the biggest thing that was shocking to me about his statement there. Did I hear you said they paid the guy for his potential? No, they paid him to average 30 yards a game next season.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, here's
on.
what they want. Here's what they wanted. They wanted him to play 14. They wanted him to only get 65 targets, have 41 receptions, 448 yards, and 8 touchdowns would be nice. But come on, Steve. Come on, man. I know you call in the station a bunch. You love the Patriots like I do. You know better than that. They found somebody who they think was underutilized and has athletic potential through the roof, who would be a great fit for their offense and what they like to do. And we're going to see it unfold, hopefully, over 17 games this season.
It's also a market value thing, too. It's not like you have to pay the guy what you project him to be and what the market is dictating. You can't just be like, I'm only going to give this guy this much money because someone else is probably going to give him more.
Right, and because Bill and the Patriots had all this salary cap space this offseason, they could use that in their advantage, right? To say, okay, we can outspend some of the teams. So, yeah, you're going to overpay a guy, but because you have more money than most of the rest of the league, right, when you entered free agency, you're going to overpay to make sure you get the player. All right, a lot more to get into. 617-779-7937, the number. What are your concerns for the Patriots? What are your realistic expectations? And if you want to weigh in on the Red Sox, you're back in, you can get into that. Plus, Bill Belichick clarified his vaccine comments. We'll get to that next here on WEI.
Your life, your hopes, and whatever you were searching for at 1:15 a.m., it's really none of our business, and it shouldn't be anyone else's. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
CuriosityStream has thousands of documentary films and shows on demand on any device. We're the Netflix for nerds, the Hulu for history buffs, the Disney Plus for the scientist in us. Back to school means getting 25% off annual plans at CuriosityStream. That's a little over $1 a month for thousands of brain-boosting documentaries. Hurry, sale ends Monday.
We got a singer!
You can help save people's lives by simply donating plasma at KED Plasma. New donors earn $100 on each donation this month in the first 8 donations. You can redeem additional prizes like t-shirts and gift cards to the KED Rewards program. It's safe, easy, and you can help people in need. Be ready to donate. Bring in your original Social Security number, valid state ID, and proof of address. To find a location near you, call 855-KED-PLASMA or visit KEDPlasmausa.com. For new donors, mention you heard this commercial and receive an additional $5 bonus. KED Plasma.